Welcome back to LimbQ Plus, everyone. On this channel, I'm 100%ing Breath of the Wild by a bit every day until Tears of the Kingdom comes out, which is today in 11 days. Tomorrow, we are starting our final countdown. 10 days until the game comes out. There's been multiple rumors, and the rumors are only getting stronger every single day, that the game has leaked or will leak every single day. So far, I haven't actually seen any evidence of this, other than fakes. But we're really getting there. The countdown is about to begin. And today, I want to talk about a pretty cool conversation I had in my Discord server with some other members of the community. And that's going to be about Tears of the Kingdom fusing all Zelda games and ideas together in a way. Obviously, we have the fuse mechanic in Tears of the Kingdom. That at this point is just known. It's going to be our central piece, basically, how we handle weapons and weapon durability, and even some puzzle solving to an extent, it seems. But talking about multiple theories and themes and ideas that we had about the game, I feel like we are actually fusing the series together in a way. And let me just give you some examples. And I'm mainly talking about 3D Zelda games here, but I feel like we even have some 2D hints now and then. Before I even start talking about Tears of the Kingdom specifically, Breath of the Wild obviously already kind of had this, right? In Breath of the Wild's case, if you look around the map, there are small little references and nods to all of the other games everywhere. We have Eventide Island essentially being a Link's Awakening reference. We have Lon Lon Ranch. We have Ma Bay Village Ruins, another Awakening reference. We have the Dragon's Exile in the desert, which is like a obscure Skyward Sword reference. These references were always there, but I think in Tears of the Kingdom we're having them much more concrete. And what do I mean by this? Let's start with Skyward Sword, because I don't think we need to talk much about that. It doesn't matter at this point how much Skyward Sword story or events are related to Tears of the Kingdom, but the mere fact that we're gonna be on Sky Islands, just that alone is essentially fusing the idea, or at least one of the ideas of Skyward Sword, even the restoration of the Master Sword actually. Let's take that too, because yes, in Skyward Sword we didn't restore the Master Sword, we like kind of made it, we built it in a way. Now we need to restore it, so we have that going on. We have Sky Islands going on that we can like dive down from. We have something that looks like the cloud barrier potentially being a thing. So there's our Skyward Sword references, fusing a Skyward Sword into Breath of the Wild. Next 3D Zelda game, let's talk about Twilight Princess. And this is actually something I talked about in the last two videos a lot, and that's the entire theme of light and gloom and the spirit realm. Now, in Tears of the Kingdom, from what we know at the moment, there have been a bunch of new cherry blossom trees that popped up. And these cherry blossom trees in this game are kind of the home of the spirits. We have the one on Mount Satori, where the Lord of the Mountain can be found. And then obviously the Deku Tree, where all of the forests of the spirit, the Koroks, will reside, right? Now these new spirit trees or cherry blossom trees have popped up in the world. I think so far we have found at least 2 new locations, one at Ebon Lake, the Broken Heart Lake in Breath of the Wild, and another one more towards Hyrule Castle on Hyrule Field, and I'm assuming there's going to be more of them. Now, I actually talked to Zelda lore about this, and we both kind of agreed that the Lord of the Mountain kind of resembles, at least its design, the light spirits in Twilight Princess. And if you don't know about the light spirits, basically in Twilight Princess you go around the world, you collect these tears of light to purify these lakes, rid it of its twilight in that game, which could be basically the gloom in this game, the darkness in this game, to restore these spirits and clear out the area. And I think this might be exactly what we will be doing in Tears of the Kingdom in a way. We've recently gotten a new ad from the game where we see a shot of Hyrule Castle without any gloom emitting from it. Maybe this is after the gloom in this area has been cleared and the area has been restored, and maybe the spirit now wilds at this new cherry blossom tree, or like lives at this new cherry blossom tree. Again, that's more of a theory thing, but I kind of think with Twilight Princess we have the themes of the strong light theme going on, definitely nods towards spirits. The logo is literally in Breath of the Wild's like spirit color that we see at the Lord of the Mountain. We have the new cherry trees. We got spirits, light, and gloom, and multiple. I talked about the spirit realm idea literally yesterday if you wanted to go more in depth about that as well. Now, when it comes to Ocarina of Time, it's pretty obvious. A lot of people have already talked about the idea of sages in Tears of the Kingdom, which first kind of resurfaced in, or were prominently featured in Ocarina of Time. Other than the fact that we also have time and time travel shenanigans that at this point most people agree will be a thing in Tears of the Kingdom. And I actually have this theory, which I talked about with another member in my Discord, which I really enjoyed, which goes hand in hand with what we talked about yesterday in the Spirit Realm theory and how I believe these Magatama... What? Oh, that still works. Okay. How I believe the Magatama, the tears, are essentially some sort of prism that's depending on a champion's spirit or sage's spirit. They will take a different color because they shine their light through it. That's just like a way I put it. And we talked about the fact that Ocarina of Time, when you go to the final boss, literally has a like sage rainbow bridge pop up to lead you there. I feel like that's an idea that could straight up fuse back into Tears of the Kingdom. And if it turns out that at the end of the game, whenever we reach the final boss fight, all of our sages are gonna manifest their power into like a rainbow bridge, I'm definitely freaking out. Again, I'm freaking out either way because the game is out in 10 days. But I thought that was a cool idea. Shoutouts to Kit from my Discord. We talked about that there. Now, Majora's Mask, another 3D Zelda title that, in my opinion, evidently is kind of fused into Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe not as evidently, because I keep thinking, by the way, and I am very sure this won't happen in the final product of the game at this point, but I keep thinking that there is technically potential for Tears of the Kingdom to have a Majora's Mask time cycle. Again, it won't happen. We've seen the HUD, there's no timer, but so many things in the world seem to be kind of designed around a feature like that. If you think about it, we have the sinkholes in Gerudo Desert. Eventually, they would literally swallow all of the sand and the area would become no longer habitable. We have gloom infesting the rocks. That's what I'm calling it now, by the way. At this point, I'm fairly sure that the new Malice is simply called Gloom. It visually looks very different. Look at the shot where Hyrule Castle is being lifted up. That gloom, in my opinion, is straight up red and shadowy black, and it's not a purple sludgy Malice anymore. I think our new Malice is going to be called Gloom, but again, theory. Anyway, the rocks are infested in what's the place? Death Mountain, right? And Zora's Domain has like muddy, sludgy water. The area is polluted. Maybe at one point we would lose to the gloom and we would lose to Ganondorf and the time resets. I would say in 99.9% this doesn't happen. But a lot of the elements in the game almost seem like they are designed around it. And then obviously the big one, we have the Blood Moon. The very threatening looking, this time, Blood Moon, and obviously Majora's Mask. We had the moon being a central part of the game. I actually want to quickly hint about another theory that Kid in my Discord actually was talking about, which I really liked from a symbolical point of view that could end up being not related to the game at all, like all of these theories, but I really liked kind of like the symbolic meaning of this, which I talked on this channel a lot about the duality of like the sun and moon, right? How basically they seem to be prominent themes in the game. We have the Blood Moon and the moon, and then the sun. We have items that are basked in sunlight, presumably blessed by the goddess Hylia, right? Now, I have discussed on this channel and on a podcast with Ratataska that it looks like in one of the shots of the murals that Ganondorf is actually sacrificing the princess there. And even weeks ago, there's been some new like spoilery stuff around, which either confirms or denies it, but you couldn't go back before any of that was around. Ratataska and I talked about the fact that maybe this is where Ganondorf steals the tear from that ancient princess. And to like elaborate on this theory, and connected with sun and moon, I think it's just really cool to think about the fact that in the real world, the only way the moon shines is essentially by stealing the light from the sun, right? Like all the moon does is reflecting sunlight. So from a symbolic point of view, I thought that was absolutely amazing. Not sure if that's gonna be a theme that's gonna be covered in the game, but I think it's lovely. Anyway, we talked about Skyward Sword, we talked about Twilight Princess, we talked about Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time. Now, I will say, I haven't played enough Wind Waker yet to know all of the themes that are going on in the game. But if there was any theme that I think could potentially be covered in the game, and I'm not gonna go and tell you Ganondorf is a good guy this time anymore, like people, and me included, have thought about in the past as an interesting theory, but I do think Ganondorf's backstory will make him a little bit more of a reasonable villain. He will still be a villain, and he will eventually go on to be a pure evil demon lord, demon king, but I think we are going to find out more about his backstory and his upbringing as a king of the Gerudo and give him a little bit more substance, similar to how Wind Waker Ganon was. Again, I'm not an expert in that game, so if you catch any other potential fusion between Wind Waker and Tears of the Kingdom, feel free to let me know about it. I will play the game at one point, but at this point I'm not like avoiding spoilers or anything, as I have seen speedruns of the game and multiple things of the game. So that's pretty much it. And then one last reference is, I think it's already evident that this game, it's not even evident, like it's confirmed that a big inspiration for this game was the first original Zelda. They wanted to give players that freedom back of going around, exploring the world, and having this open Hyrule feel again, but reimagined, right? And what I thought was interesting is that the final boss, essentially, in the original Zelda is in Death Mountain, so Ganondorf has always been, or Ganon in general, has always had a tie with Death Mountain. In fact, if you go to Death Mountain in this game, you will find that it basically plays the Death Mountain theme from the original Zelda game, which again was essentially the final dungeon of the game, where you fight the final boss of the game. Which speaks to the fact that now Death Mountain seems to be, other than Hyrule Castle, the most infected place. We haven't really seen much of the village or the characters from Goron City, so I think there's gonna be a pretty heavy tie there, where Ganondorf has hit Death Mountain quite hard and has a direct influence on them. This could even just work from a logical point of view, because Death Mountain is obviously directly connected to the underground, where at this point most of us believe Ganon mostly resides, and the effect of the gloom and his darkness are the strongest. And these are pretty much all the references that I was able to basically point out now between other Zelda games and Tears of the Kingdom, which made it seem like they really are going for this huge collaboration of all their ideas, packing it all into this Hyrule that they've carefully crafted, and I think it's going to be amazing. And tomorrow, we're going to start with our final countdown, where Tears of the Kingdom is around 10 days away from release, so it's getting serious. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. The wait is almost over. Final countdown will start tomorrow. Subscribe if you want. Peace.